ADHD and Some. Today I've got and I'm going to be real with you, hopefully she don't mind me saying, I've got a really nervous Tasha with me. Tash, how are you? Can I say that?
Yes, you can. Everybody knows that I find podcasts difficult.
She's been freaking out for about 5 minutes. So yeah, I'm just going to let you know she is nervous, but I'm going to take the lead and speak, and Tasha will hopefully answer some questions. Is that right, Tash?
Yeah, that's okay.
So today we're going to talk about this month's topic in the sub hub, which is RSD, rejection sensitive disorder and people pleasing. So welcome back to AuDHD and Some. I'm Ellie, as always, and today we're talking about something that so many neurodivergent people silently struggle with, and it's rejection sensitivity disorder or dysphoria, also known as RSD and people pleasing. Have you ever apologized when you haven't done anything wrong? Because I know that I have. And have you ever said yes when every part of you wanted to say no? And have you ever convinced yourself somebody was upset with you because they replied with okay instead of okay? Kiss, 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 kiss. Or spent hours replaying a conversation wondering if you'd said the right or the wrong thing? If any of this sounds familiar, and I really think that it probably will, today's episode is definitely for you. So Tasha, we're going to have an honest conversation about why rejections can feel so overwhelming, why so many neurodivergent people please, and how masking fits into all of this, and how we start putting ourselves back on our own priority list. As always, we're going to be sharing our own experiences and our own opinions. This isn't therapy or medical advice, but we hope today's conversation helps you feel understood, validated, and a little less alone. So, Tasha, thank you so much for joining us. Let's dive in. Question one, Tash, let's start with the basics. For anyone who's never heard of rejection sensitivity dysphoria before, how would you explain it to them?
I think for me, RSD is quite a significant topic, and I know it is for you too, Ellie.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, for so many of us ADHDers or neurodivergent adults, RSD is such a big topic, and some people don't necessarily realise that what they're experiencing has a name. Um,
Mm.
And I think RSD is in that example you gave earlier about, well, they might have put, I think, I'm not quite sure how you said it, but they might have put like no kisses instead of
Or
three kisses, or
one less kiss than normal. Like who
yeah,
counts kisses other than someone with RSD?
yeah, or like a bullet point at the end of their sentence, and it looks like it's a really harsh like
Yeah,
message, but actually they just added a additional bullet point or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
Um,
exactly that.
so that's a really good example. So it's when something can be perceived as sort of rejection or someone being cross with you, or it can come from criticism or
So
just some.
my son texted me. I think I told you he texted me a couple of weeks ago and said, "Mum, can you please never write okay? You know, like the word O and K, and can you always write OKAY?" He said because it makes me think that you're in a mood with me, and my son's neurodivergent. So I was like, "Wow!" I never realised that even from your own mum, it would affect you, and just a simple word. So it does happen.
Yes, okay is a particular one. My daughter does it to me, and I'm like, it's just the way she texts. It's just the way she texts. Or someone goes, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Then I'm like, what does that mean? Have I done something wrong? Have I
yeah.
disappointed you? But essentially, it's often related to rejection, criticism, or feeling like someone is disappointed with you. But that feeling can feel so much bigger and so much stronger than perhaps a neurotypical person might experience it. And it doesn't always have to be something huge or like a really obvious rejection. It literally, like we were saying, it could be a short message or someone not replying in a certain amount of time when they normally reply really quickly, or
Yeah, because
someone's
they
tone of
might
voice
genuinely
changes.
be busy, but you've turned it into some humongous thing in your head.
Exactly. We very quickly turned it into, they're upset with me. That's not their
Yeah,
normal. They normally respond in this amount of time. Oh, they don't like me anymore.
yeah,
What have I done wrong? And I think it's not. it's something that happens that we don't do on purpose. We just feel things so much stronger. It's not overreacting. We feel emotional responses
Mhm.
very strongly, and they feel really real and intense in that moment. And it can feel physical, like it can feel like anxiety, and it can
It's
give you
like a
brain
physical
fog. And
pain. Honestly, I can feel it. Like my blood runs cold. I get nervous. Like my whole, like I have anxiety from it. Like not so much anymore, but for some reason the last couple of years I've been a lot better. But growing up, definitely it throws me out of sync for days. Like it has a effect on my whole life.
yes, absolutely agree, because I know now what the name is, and so do you. So when it starts coming up for me, I'm like, oh, okay, it's
I
RSD,
think
and I can name it, and it helps it because I
that's
know
what
what it
makes it
is.
powerful. I think when you have the name for it and you know it's normal, um, the language gives you power. The same with, like we were saying with executive functioning last month. Before I called it lazy or, or bone idle or Ellie can't be asked to do something. But, now I know it's got a name, executive function. A lot of people feel it. And the reasoning behind it, it actually makes me feel less bad about it. So when we have a name for RSD and we know that it's normal and the reasons behind it, we're going to start feeling less bad. And I think giving it that name is definitely a powerful thing.
Yeah, and although it's not a formal diagnosis, it's a name that so many people relate to. And being able to have people in your life that you can say, like me and you do it all the time, don't we? When we're messaging, we will say, "Oh, that triggered my RSD. Did you mean it like
Yeah,
that?" And the other person's like, "No, don't be silly. Of course not." But
yeah.
we feel comfortable to be able to say that as friends, and I
Yeah.
think having both that shared language really helps us to
I
understand that the other person isn't doing anything,
I
that
think,
they're
and
not
that's why it's
disappointed.
important for people that aren't autistic or aren't ADHD to also know the language, like friends, family, because I can say to my mum, like, I can't at the moment, she probably actually don't know what it is, I don't know. But mum, shit, that gave me RSD. Do you really not want me to come over today? I think giving everyone access to that language is so important and in a non-clinical way, because I don't think anymore you have to be a clinical, person to say RSD. I think it's becoming more known in the real world. I think I can say to my 9-year-old daughter, shit, I'm feeling a little RSD today because you don't want to hug me. And I think, hopefully she will be brought up with words like that and she will understand it, so it'll help her understand her neurodivergent brain.
Yeah, and the emotional intenseness and that kind of um, fluctuation in emotions for ADHD and AuDHD adults isn't included in the diagnostic criteria, but actually it's a experience that I think every single person that I work with has and relates to.
I
Is
can't
that
say
kind of
I've met many
fluctuation.
that haven't felt RSD, and I've met a lot of where we're doing what we're doing in the community lately. With our big group of 50,000. I can say that I've spoke to so many people in that group, so I've got quite a lot of people to choose from, and a lot of them are coming every day with issues with RSD, whether they knew what it was or whether they're saying, is it normal? It is such a prevalent thing. I mean, every day I'm reading about 5 posts about RSD, whether the person knows it's RSD or whether they're just finding out. It's definitely appropriate to talk about.
And I think that's why we chose it for the theme this month in AuDHD and Then Some
Yeah,
subscription,
because it
because
was
it's
meant to
it's
be in December or the next month. I think it
yeah.
was, we had this written down for December or January or something in the future, but I think we brought it forward because we've noticed it needs to be spoke about.
And people pleasing and RSD come hand in hand, really, because we people please because we don't want to feel RSD, or we people please because we think that someone's disappointed, or we think that we're
Yeah.
going to disappoint someone, so therefore
You don't want
we
to
do
feel that
something
pain,
to,
so you quickly put something in
yeah,
place to please them.
yeah. Whereas if we didn't have RSD and we didn't think there'd be and we went away and we were like, oh, that was fine, doesn't matter, then we wouldn't necessarily feel the need to people please, because we wouldn't be left with that awful discomfort.
I think why it's come up for me a lot lately is because I've been doing a lot of guest podcasts and it's been coming up we've been talking about relationships, people pleasing, and boundaries. And I've worked out where my RSD and my people pleasing comes from. It comes from lots of different things. So, for example, like at school, where neurodivergent children get criticism whether purposefully or unpurposefully a lot more than their counterparts that are neurotypical. So always when I was growing up, I felt like I was doing it wrong, or, so when I was older, I felt like I can't put boundaries in place. And, I have to people please, and I have to, go along with things because I don't want to get criticized because I'm always getting it wrong. And I think a lot of that, boundaries, people pleasing, attracting people that, you know, we're more vulnerable because of our RSD, and it's all intertwined. The people pleasing, the RSD, the boundaries, they're all one big ball from our neurodivergence.
Yeah, they are. Boundaries is another one that really interlinks, and it's another huge topic, but it they do definitely all intertwine. And the more you understand yourself and the more you start creating boundaries, you'll probably find that some of the relationships you have don't, maybe they sort of don't carry on because the person's always been used to you people pleasing, and they don't like it when you're actually putting boundaries in for
And
yourself.
sometimes it's not their fault because, with a lot of people, I've taught them that I am the martyr, I am the provider. I've gone into a lot of friendships and been like, no, 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 you're not paying. I'm offended if you try and pay. I'm paying. And, so I've taught people that, that's my thing, and that I'll be offended if you try and pay. So then when I try and pull back and make them boundaries after years and years, people are like, oh, so it's not always people's fault. It's like I've had a whole personality change when I try and put in the boundaries because I've never had any before. So sometimes it's just to people are like, wow, you've changed since you've got your diagnosis. You're not the same person anymore. But it's not always the other person's fault. Sometimes it's just because we have changed.
Mm. And I think it when you realize what it is, you're like, oh my gosh, that's why I struggled so much when I was
Yeah.
young, and especially a teenager, and why I felt really weird around people, and why did I go away and overthink this, and other people were like carrying on like nothing was bothering them.
Even down to serious things, like I can say it's why I've been in, and without harping on too much about it, it's why it is this serious. Like, it's why I've been in narcissistic relationships, it's why I've been
Mm.
in abusive relationships, it's why I've had lots of things happen as a child,
It kind of
because
attracts that narcissism,
it
doesn't it? Because
makes
that's what
us
they feed off.
really vulnerable. And this is what I said
Mm.
on a podcast this week. I am so keen to make it known so that our children aren't ever vulnerable, like, that our neurodivergent children aren't susceptible to narcissistic relationships and abuse, so we can work out how we can kind of praise our children and cut this RSC thing out and minimize it as much as we can. I think knowledge is power, and it will help because it has such a bang on effect in everyday life. RSD. Tash, when did you first realize that rejection seemed to affect you differently to other people around you?
I've always known that actually. Since I was very young, I was really intuitive and really grown up at a really young age, and
Yeah.
felt and thought really deeply from like
Like
really,
like
really
an
young
old
age.
soul, right? Like always like an
Oh,
old soul. Yeah,
I've
I get
always
that.
been a really old soul, like the
Yeah.
party pooper, or the
Yeah.
or the
Party
highly
sucker. Yeah.
or the highly sensitive one. Like,
Yeah.
why you like, oh my God, I cannot even tell you how many times I've got told, oh, you're so sensitive. You
Yeah.
take a joke, you're so sensitive. But you know, I I genuinely cannot see like the joke in sometimes the communication is like, it feels like rejection, or sarcasm is difficult to understand, or
Which is hard with
um
our friendship because I am a really, really sarcastic person. I can't say my feelings. I can't say anything seriously. And so, me and your relationship together is quite an unusual one because your sensitivities are sometimes pricked by my level of sarcasm. So we sometimes have quite difficulty with that. I've got a really, really literal autistic child that isn't a child anymore, that's an adult, and
me
has
too.
grown up with me being a sarcastic joker, and saying so many things in jest. I don't think I've had many serious conversations in my life. So I now, and I hope they don't mind me saying, they're now in therapy unpacking, because I didn't realize that everything I'd said to them their whole life they're taken seriously, and they've now got a severe amount of, rejection, and they've had that throughout their whole life. And I never realized that, because I've gone across like being jovial and sarcastic, and I never realized my autistic children would get so much RSD from just my personality. So it's really become something that I've had to become aware of, specifically being friends with you, because you'll say something nice to me and I'll go because I don't know what else to say to you. And so you'll say, "Oh, you're really good at this, Ellie," and I'll go like, because I can't accept a compliment.
I get used to the sick face emoji now. It's all good.
The sick face now means something really nice, but I do it to other people as well. People that I know on Facebook and stuff, and they'll write something nice and I'll put a sick emoji, and I have to stop myself, because not everybody knows, and they're neurodivergent people and they probably have RSD, so I'm making them feel some type of way. So it is a really complicated thing to unpack.
I think I always knew when I was young that I was different, but I didn't have a clue what it was.
Yeah.
It's only as I've got older and got my diagnosis and we've kind of delved deep into all of this over the last few years ourselves that we
Self-work.
realise, we realise what it is. And now I realise how much RSD affects me, what it is, how often it it makes me replay conversations in my head, or
Yeah.
replay how somebody's tone or somebody's facial expression,
I'll
especially tone
replay a
of voice.
conversation from when I was 6 years old, mate.
Yeah,
Like,
I
honestly, wishing I'd said it differently. I was 6.
and everyone else has moved on, and I'm like there, like days later, like can't move on. I can't move on until I've got closure. Someone needs
Yeah.
to tell me that nothing bad happened here.
I think it's also related to, so if you text me, so sometimes you text me, now you don't do it because you know that it's a no, but you used to text me when we first met, and you'd be like, "Ellie, I really need to talk to you about something later." And if I saw that flash up on my
Yeah,
phone but I was in a meeting
you
or
panic.
something, I had to sometimes stop my meeting and give you a call and say, "Fucking hell, what have I done?" Which is pathetic. But you never do that to me. You say, "I need to talk to you later. It's nothing to worry about. It's just about XYZ." But I've heard, a lot of neurodivergent people, they get an email from their boss or a text from their boss,
Yes,
something
workplace.
completely unrelated,
Yeah,
and they think, "Fuck, I've been sacked. I've done something bad. They found
yeah.
something out about me." And that is apparently as well related to RSD too.
The dreaded message you get at the beginning of the day saying from your manager saying, "Oh, I need to talk to you at the end of the day," but doesn't tell you why.
It
And then
makes
you
me
think
want
it's
to
bad.
die. You can't focus, and then you ring the person, sometimes, like, because now I'll ring the person, I'll say, "No, you need to tell me, we need to talk about it," and I come across like a crazy person, because they're like, "Whoa, I only said I need to talk to you later." People don't understand. So I think once you can name it, and once we've spread the knowledge of it to all of our community, they'll be like, "You know what, I'm not a weirdo, and I can happily explain to people why I do this." I'm so passionate about giving people the knowledge of why they do things and where it springs from, and spreading it to the world, because it does make you feel so much better. I now know I'm not a weirdo. I just have RSD because I'm a weirdo.
Well, 50,000 of us in our support group, and pretty much all of them, I would imagine, experience it at some point. So we're definitely not alone.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly that. Was there a
yeah.
moment when you felt like it was really affecting you, Tasha, and you felt like this is really big? What age in life? Like, was your teenage years, your childhood, your adulthood? When do you think RSD affected you the most?
Oh, I mean, obviously, when you're teenagers, emotions are high anyway, aren't they? And you feel out of place,
Yeah.
and you don't quite feel like you fit in. So I do remember that quite significantly, being the very overly sensitive person all of the time.
Also,
Um,
I think maybe school pickups and drop-offs. So, and this has just come to my head now. So when I was, when I was dropping my kids off to school, and stuff like that, I think I always felt a bit RSD in the playground. Like, I didn't really fit in, or if I wasn't talking to the other mums, which, to be fair, I never normally was, because I was, a bit of an introvert. I think I felt RSD a lot in them sort of situations as well.
yeah, I think from because my memory is terribly poor anyway with
Mine
my
too. Yeah.
ADHD, my working memory, but in recent years, I think the RSD for me has actually come from starting my own business. When I first started my own business, oh my God, the RSD, the RSD and imposter syndrome was so bad. And anytime someone sent me any kind of message that was any kind of negative connotation to it, I was like, oh my God, they hate me. Oh my God,
You still do that
nobody.
to me now. You'll send me a message and you'll be like, Ellie, decipher this for me. And I'll be like, no, they don't hate you. They've just said they can't do an appointment on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. But it's completely, I get that completely. And the same with me. Like, I'll message you and I'll be like, I've got 100 messages from different people all over the world today and I can't respond to them all. And I don't want them to hate me. Because you become such a people pleaser because you don't want to feel like that RSD. And I know that I can't respond to 100 people from all over the world in a day. I just can't do it. It's not humanly possible. And a lot of people will be like, no, you can't. Don't think about it again. But sometimes I'll wake up at 4:32 a.m. and it's always 4:32 that you've pointed out this week, Tash. And I'll start thinking about, people are going to hate me because I can't message them back. This is all of the RSD things. It affects so much, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like the other day I posted a post on TikTok, I think it was, and it was about the signs of burnout. And I thought it was quite a good post, like ones that maybe and you have actually suffered
It
with
was
various
shit,
times in our lives.
Tash. No, I'm
And
joking.
so, someone put a comment on there. I was like, oh, there's a comment because no, people don't normally comment on TikTok. So but someone had wrote nonsense, and I was like, nonsense? What do
It
you
was
mean
me.
nonsense?
Was it me?
No, it wasn't you. It was
See, now
you.
I think twice about now I've got this language and stuff for it. I think so hard before I post on anyone's stuff because I know, like, when you got that message that said nonsense, you were like really like, whoa, like, I know that it didn't really affect you as much as it would have done before. Now you
No,
can kind of get over it, but I think now I'm really cautious what I say to people as well. Now I know what RSD is because I know how much it affects me. So I think it's good. It's not good that you got the message nonsense. I mean, I'm sure you still think about it sometimes.
I was like, it's not nonsense. What are you talking about?
And
But I
why
think
must people be so mean? I don't
I
get it.
know, I know. I always think that. Why are you
We
so
get some
mean
shit
to me?
messages, don't we, Tash? We do get some shitty messages
We
from
do get some
people.
shitty messages, yeah. But I
Yeah.
think that as well, once you know it's RSD and you know it's going to trigger an RSD reaction, it helps you manage it a lot better. Because I knew reading that, I'd be like, oh, but why did someone write that? So I kind of was able to shake it off easily and go, no, that's your brain telling you that you've done something wrong, but you actually haven't. It's just some person on the computer writing nonsense because they don't really know what you're talking about.
Exactly that. But I always message them. I always want to message them, and you always have to pull me back. Not to message them abuse. I want to message them and be like, I need to explain.
But
Like,
why?
someone says to me, why do you keep advertising yourself? They put links. Facebook put my link every time under my
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
everything. I've got so many messages from people the last couple of weeks saying, why do you keep spamming your links? And I keep messaging back saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. It's Facebook that does it because they want to earn money. It's not me. So I'm finding myself all the time over explaining and apologizing. And I know that that's an RSD thing because normal people would think, you know, I've
Because actually,
explained
so
myself
what? Even if
once.
it was you, so what?
Yeah,
It's your
you
content, it's
know,
your page. You can put your link on
exactly.
there.
Exactly that. But I find myself a lot just messaging people and apologizing. And now I know it's an RSD thing. And it's quite comfortable when you're with other neurodivergent people because I just say to you, Tash, sort me out. It's
Yeah, I
RSD
just
again.
or other way around as well. But I might just say, no, don't message. Do not
Yeah.
message that person. Ignore and delete.
Yeah, sometimes it makes me look unhinged. Like I'm asking a stranger from like Australia at 4 a.m., why don't you like me? Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck, Ellie? Sort it out. Like, it's not normal. All they wrote was like they don't agree with your point of view, and that is completely fine. Like, why are you crying in your
But
bed
straight
at
away,
4
you
a.m.?
think that you think that you're the one in the wrong, and that's the
Because I'm
thing. Straight
always the
away, our
one in the
brains go,
wrong. Because I've been the one in the wrong since I've been like a kid. Because I don't normally get social things. So yes, I've always been the one in the wrong. So I'm always assuming I'm the one in the wrong, even when I'm not.
yeah. It's hard to break the pattern of a lifetime, isn't it?
So we have touched upon this. But I'm going to ask you anyway because it's on my list of questions. So I'm going to roll with it. Why do you think so many neurodivergent people become people pleasers? And I think I just covered that when I said it's because we've always been wrong.
Yeah, that feeds nicely to that question, because it's like life teaches us that we have to become people pleasers, because we're, if you think about it right from childhood, neurodivergent children are corrected a lot, especially if they're not diagnosed. They're told they're too loud to be quiet. They need to be quiet. They need to stop fidgeting, moving, stop being too emotional or sensitive, or don't be so blunt. Why are you saying that too bluntly? Or you're being intense, or why can't you focus? So,
Never get it right, can you? It's either one or
exactly.
the other. You can never get it right. And I'm not saying
And
it's all neurodivergent people. Some people might have had an amazing time, but I know from our group of 50,000, it's quite a lot that have been criticised their whole life. So it is a pattern.
And also, those comments, sometimes they're not even meant to be mean. Sometimes they're just passing comments, or they're just a mum who's stressed, who goes, "Oh, you're being so loud again," or
Yeah.
it's not even like
Yeah.
that they're coming as a mean in a mean way. It's that, but over time, with our brains and susceptibility to kind of like literal thinking and black and white thinking, and hearing those messages over and over again, we can start to believe that we are the cause of the problem.
Yeah, I think that's why I've settled for shit friendships, shit relationships, because I thought, oh, they're showing me attention. Let me take what I can get because, I'm crap. So I think it really affects self-worth.
Yeah, agreed. And I think it becomes a way of keeping yourself safe from those messages in the future. So you're constantly,
Trying to
like,
stamp
yeah,
it out
hyper
before it
vigilant,
happens.
monitor it, looking at people's tone and facial expressions, and apologizing before you've even done something wrong, because you just want to avoid that feeling of that you feel like you're in the wrong, and just.
Because it is a horrible, shitty feeling. Do you think we're born this way then? Or does this mean that life just teaches us to become this?
I don't think we're born necessarily believing that everybody else's needs matter more than ours, but I
Hmm.
think that it's learned through experience, and our
So,
brains are more sensitive to it. So, just with ADHD, we are more likely to experience those heightened emotions. So if we're hearing those messages and we're also experiencing heightened emotions, then it makes sense that we would learn that, oh, if I don't people please, someone will say something bad to me, or.
which comes on to my next thing, which is masking. So it's all another hand in hand thing. So masking, I mask a lot around a lot of people because I don't want to stand out like a sore thumb, or I don't want to embarrass myself, or I don't even know I'm doing it. It's like a autopilot thing, when you're driving and you're going somewhere and you forget you're going there and you just get there. Do
Yes,
you
yeah,
think masking and people pleasing go hand in hand?
hugely. Because masking
Hugely.
is
Sorry,
hugely,
don't get
darling.
RSD.
Um,
Hugely.
yeah, don't correct how I'm speaking, because now my
I'm
RSD is
not.
going to
I'm
come out.
taking the piss because it's so posh. Hugely.
Yeah, but that's just as bad.
I'm so sorry. I just said I don't do it anymore, and now I've made myself look like a dick in front of everyone. And not that
Oh god.
anyone's listening because I'm getting RSD now. So go ahead.
Anyway, masking.
Yeah.
Um, so yes, because masking is when, if for people who don't know what masking is, it's when you hide parts of yourself
Or
to
for
meet other
people that
people.
don't know what masking is, she means masking. Sorry, so I'm so sorry, Tash.
I'm going to hang up in a minute.
Okay, right, go on.
You put me off. You put
All
me
right.
off. Masking is when we hide parts of ourselves or suppress parts of ourselves to fit in, or to meet other people's expectations. And people pleasing is similar. It's when we change our behavior to make other people comfortable. And essentially, that two of them are the same thing. They both prevent rejection, and they both help us to, or we think they both help us to fit in. And they both kind of involve that process of analyzing, well, who do I need to be and how do I need to behave in this situation? What's
And
expected of me?
it can be autopilot-y, like we don't even know we're doing it. So for example, I done a post a couple of months ago and I was sitting in Brighton and I was eating sushi, and I thought, and I've been doing a lot of self-analysis over the last couple of years, a lot of self-work, but it's reached the pivotal point now where I'm meeting so many AuDHD people. I'm really really working on myself constantly without even realizing, and there's been a lot of self-discovery. So I was sitting there eating my sushi and I looked down and I thought, what a fucking odd thing for me to like. I don't really like fish, and it's cold and it's weird, and
It's cold fish.
I've just paid 15 quid for it. Like, And then I remembered that someone years ago said, like, it's really cool to like sushi. And I just then started liking it for no reason. And, you know, I taught myself to like it because when I first tasted it, I was like, ugh, this is rank. But I just, you know, I went through the pain so I could be cool. So actually, I didn't even remember that I was masking, and I don't even like sushi. It's just the mask has become my face.
Yeah. And masking people pleasing and RSD, again, they all go hand in hand. But when we people please for so long, and when we mask for so long, sometimes it's hard to find where the line is between what actually is you and where the mask is. And that genuinely does happen. Like trying to figure out in adulthood, who actually am I and what actually do I like? And,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
don't know where, because I've like, so I grew up in a really racially diverse area. There's a lot of, and I love it, you know, there's a lot of different races where I lived and where I grew up. So, you know, when I'd have Nigerian friends, which I grew up having Nigerian friends a lot, and I'd go to their house, I would submerge myself in their culture. I would come home, I would have a Nigerian accent, I would become Nigerian as well. And it would happen with, you know, Mauritian people, you know, it's a beautiful thing, you know, but it stopped me being who I was, because I would just assimilate to be the same as everyone I was around. And it is a really strange quirk. But I found out the other day, actually, on a podcast, that people, not just neurodivergent people, do it, but people that have had trauma, so me as well, from a young age can do it as well without even being
yes.
neurodivergent. So because their personality hasn't formed before the trauma, they then just adapt to be like other people. So it isn't just a neurodivergent thing, it can be a trauma thing, or of course you can be neurodivergent and have trauma, because that's a thing.
Yeah, you can experience one without the other, but there's often a big overlap, isn't there? And
Big.
I think the danger is, like we were saying earlier, is that when you spend years, for whatever reason, masking or people pleasing or adapting to everybody around you,
Yeah.
it does become difficult to work out what you actually think and what your needs are, like what you actually need. And then we might do things like hiding our sensory discomfort, or ones that I've done in the past, forcing eye contact, or just pretending that I'm okay and I've got energy and my brain isn't gone completely like mushy and foggy and zony, and agreeing in a meeting that I'm actually present when I'm not. Um, and I think that we do a lot of those things, hiding all of those things, because we don't want to other people to think bad of us or
I
think we
agree
can't
with
cope.
this. So for me, like, the epiphany was a couple of years ago. I lived in Egypt. Yes, I'm a woman of many stories. So I lived in Egypt, and when I was there, you know, all my life I've been stressed up to my eyeballs. I can't even explain. Like, I just have the worst stress ever. You know, I started greying at 20 years old, and I feel like it's stress related. I had three little boys, and they were all about the same age. And you know, there's a small age gap. They was all very loud, all very neurodivergent. I spent their whole childhood stressed at them, and I feel guilty for that. But it's because they, you know, they clocked my sensoriness so much. You know, I was constantly stressed. And when I was living in Egypt a couple of years ago, I started to become more stressed than I've ever been by, like, I'd stand on a bit of water and there'd be a bit of water on my sock, and I'd just freak out. Someone would turn the light on and I'd freak out. And before I would just get angry, but it reached some point where I started to have a breakdown, and I had to move back from Egypt because it's a very sensory place, Egypt. There's a lot of beeping, there's a lot of mess, you know, it's a lot, Egypt. I moved back from Egypt because I couldn't cope. And when I got here, I realized that I'd reached my penultimate point of masking. And, you know, even though I was masking and I was still getting a bit angry when sensory things triggered me, I was unable to mask anymore. I'd
Yeah,
reached
you get to that
40
point.
and I thought, fuck it, I can't mask anymore. You know, my sock is wet and I'm going to just have a full on breakdown. I'm not just going to get a little bit angry. You
Yeah.
know, I couldn't mask anymore. And that's what I've realised. And that's why I've had to become so honest. I've had to start calling myself Ellie AuDHD, because people are thinking Ellie the freaking weirdo. And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm having a meltdown because I've got a wet sock because I'm Ellie AuDHD. And, you know, I've had to own it and I've had to learn the language. And I'm so passionate about sharing that with everyone, because I do think there comes a point where you just think, fuck it, I can't mask anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of there with you right now. The kind of, I can't mask anymore. I'm at the point now where I understand myself very well, and I know when I'm masking now, whereas
Yeah.
perhaps before I wouldn't know that I was doing it, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I wouldn't know, I would just be doing it and then
Yeah.
coming home like, why do I feel so awful and anxious and need to lay down and need the
Honestly,
light
like
off? And
after work, like if you go to work or if you go on a social date or, like something, and then you come home and you want to sleep for 3 weeks. And I used to
oh
think, what the fuck's wrong
yeah,
with me? Like, I've just been out for half an hour. Why am I so tired? Now I know it's because I spent that whole time being someone else.
yeah, hiding it or hiding all those
Yeah.
discomfort and suppressing all your sensory needs. And then when you get home, it's like, I need a dark room, I need no sound, no one interrupt me.
Because, like, I
um
used to, like, so light for me is a big thing, the big light in the house. I don't like it. And, the electric, and I'd have the lights off all the time. I remember even that something happened in my house once and the police had to come. And the police come in the front room. This was about 10 years ago. And it was, it's pitch black outside. It was 11 o'clock at night. And all that I had on was the light of the telly. And they said, Shelley, because that's my real name, they said, Shelley, can we turn the lights on? And I said, no, I'm using the light of the telly. And they were looking at me like I'm insane. And I thought, I can't be asked to explain to them, like, I will have a freak out if we put the light on. I just said, no, I can't do it. Now, the electrician come a couple of months ago and he said, do you mind if we put the light on? And I said, nope. I said, I'm autistic and I'll freak out. I've had to start embracing myself and just, I get it now. I get why I don't like these things. It's not because I'm a weirdo. There is a reason.
yeah, and for those listening that aren't quite there yet or able to kind of be so open about themselves, like it's, it is kind of a process, like discovery, and you will get to that point where you feel able to I can proudly say I am autistic now.
Yeah.
Like I don't hold any
You wear
shame
what, ear
or anything.
defenders and stuff like that, don't you? I think
Yeah,
that's another thing. So before, years ago, I would never have worn ear defenders. I would have been like, no, people are going to think there's something wrong with me. I'm not that autistic that I have to wear ear defenders. But now I would, oh, I don't give a shit, mate.
yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to go to the pharmacy. There is not any way I am not taking my headphones with me, and I wear them the whole entire time because it's noisy. I put music through them so I can't hear anybody else. I stand in the queue and I rock
Yeah,
for regulation, and I'm just like, looks like I'm dancing to my music, but I don't even care because I'm like, it's the only way I can do it without coming out and being completely dysregulated from this 10-minute queue.
yeah,
um
I
but
get
I'd
that.
rather that now than like be myself than not. But it's taken a long time to get there, to be comfortable with myself, to be able to understand myself, and to also know when I'm masking and know when I'm people pleasing. And the people pleasing and RSD side of things, I still do now. I still suffer with now, but I suppose knowing it and asking the person, did you mean it this way, and feeling comfortable to say those things, that makes such a difference to how much it affects you.
See, I have a lot of guilt because, I started having my children very young and, I didn't know anything about neurodivergence. I only found out I was neurodivergent because my children were neurodivergent and I started finding out about that. And, all their childhood, they would do things like stim and, like do unusual things. And I'd say, don't do that because I do stuff like that and I got bullied for it. So I try and stamp that out of them. So I've made my kids over the years, and obviously unintentionally, it was through love. I didn't want them to be bullied like I was for stimming or rocking backwards and forwards. So before I become aware of neurodivergence, I tried to make my kids put on a mask as well so
Yeah,
that
but
they
don't
wouldn't.
know what you don't know, do you?
I've
That's the
met a lot of
thing.
people that have felt like this. It's because we're only finding out, and now I'm finding out at 40. I feel like shit. Mate, I even made my kids mask. Like, I should have been telling them, be proud to stim. But, I was just trying to suffer,
You
face.
didn't even know what
No,
stim was, what the
no,
word stim was. So,
haven't got a clue.
exactly.
I thought it's something weird I do. They've learned it off me, and fuck that, they're not getting bullied for it. So as soon as they'd start stimming, I'll be like, stop doing that. People are watching, and I feel so guilty for it now. But that's why knowledge is power, and I'm so passionate about, even if you're not neurodivergent, come and join our crew if you've got a neurodivergent child, because I want you to learn for the sake of your child.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, that I think that's why we created the AuDHD and Then Some membership, because we're both very passionate about giving people accessible resources, when they can't access maybe diagnosis, they can't afford to pay for
Fucking
coaching and
expensive.
one-to-one support.
Yeah.
So having some resources and some bits and a community and ways to understand yourself and your child for, you know, really good value, I think is really important, but especially for ADHD, because there is so little out there on ADHD, and it's such a complex
Thing.
pairing of conditions.
Yeah, I went on a podcast the other day with a clinician, right? I sound like a bloody broken record. I went on a podcast, but I went on a podcast with a clinician the other day, and she said, I've been a clinician for 30 years. She's in America, and she said, I've never heard the term AuDHD. Can you explain what it is to me? And I
And it's
said,
not diagnostic, is it? But it's
it's not
definitely
a diagnostic thing. I said, it's becoming more apparent lately. And I said, to be honest, I'm going to be real with you. ADHD is some bullshit, because autism and ADHD are two things that should never, ever, ever be paired together in the same body. And, you know, it's hell.
it's an
I
absolute paradox, like conflict all the time, isn't it? In
Oh,
one body and one
mate, I
brain.
feel like I've got two personalities fighting inside one person. I think it's horrific. You know, it's made me who I am. I'm proud and, you know, where I am today, but it is a ball ache, you know,
But there are things that you can do, and there are ways you can support yourself, and there are things. It is really challenging, and you know that doesn't take away how challenging it is to
yeah,
manage ADHD. But you know, if you have the right support and the right community and the right resources and things like that, then there are ways that you can sort of start to learn how to understand yourself and just have that more. A lot of it is understanding, awareness, and just having compassion for yourself and saying, oh well, I did it like that. Oh well, that's how my brain works. Oh well, I'm not saying sorry for that.
yeah, it takes a long time to get to that sometimes,
It
though,
does.
and a lot of self work, and not everyone's there yet or on that journey. But I would say,
Exactly.
since meeting you specifically, oh my God, this is making me feel a bit rough
Oh
now.
no, she's gonna be sick now. She's gonna
Since
send you the
yeah,
sick face emoji.
since meeting you and, you know, surrounding myself with neurodivergent community, it's self-work has been happening for me even more than it ever has, because, you know, I've accepted myself, because I'm like, if I can be kind to you for getting triggered, then I can be bloody kind to myself. I think that's why I'm so, you know, when someone says, "Oh, I've just got a diagnosis and I feel really, really alone," I'm like, "Listen, mate, it's 99p. I'm not trying to sell you anything, because believe me, I put a lot more
You're not
work
making
in."
much money.
Yeah, I'm not making more money than, you know, believe me, you know, I'm doing more work. But, you know, come and join our community and be surrounded by people, because you're not, when we started our group of 50,000, we thought it was just us. We were like, oh, you know, maybe this is an ADHD symptom, but maybe it's just us.
Well, we didn't
Now,
expect it to go. I mean, that's our free group, the 50,000 one, but we
yeah,
didn't
otherwise we
expect
might
it.
be making money.
Yeah, otherwise, you know, I don't think we'd be mentioning it, the
Yeah.
99p so much. um, but no, but yeah, the support group, we didn't think that it would there would be so many of us. And lately, there's been a huge influx in people that are realizing they have ADHD in addition to autism, or the other way around,
Yeah.
or they're
And it's
realizing it
caused
because
them
they're
some
children.
trauma as well, you know. It's caused them a lot of. I'm getting messages every day from people that, like, oh my God, Ellie, I thought I was the only one. You're speaking my soul, you know. And I feel like, oh, poor bugger, like someone else has gone through the same thing that I've gone through. But I'm so glad that we're now building, and I don't know many communities that you can be yourself in. You know, you can go to therapy and you can pay millions of pounds for it. Do you know what I mean? Or you can,
Mm.
you know, you can join things for people in the world. But I'm so proud of this down to earth community that we've built. Like, if you are lonely at 3 a.m. and you feel like, you know, oh my God, I've done something I'm really embarrassed about and I keep overthinking it, pop onto our forum and post it. And there will be someone there that will make you feel better or give you a worse
Mm.
story. I think it's so good that we've got such a down to earth community that will be there for each other. They're lovely people. I've met some lovely people.
Yeah, and also we've got our monthly support group, haven't we? That's actually online,
Yeah.
that you can actually meet other ADHD adults and ADHD adults, and that's really nice too, because me and Ellie just waffle on, so you might not want to come.
Yeah.
But we we just talk about a topic, and then people
Get an
just join in,
RSD.
and they join in on the chat, or they just listen, or but everyone goes away feeling a bit more grounded and like they've learned something, or they're like, oh my gosh,
I go away
I'm not
feeling
the only one.
empowered. Like, I feel like, yes, I am ADHD, and yes, I'm going to take over the world.
And yes, I also struggle to brush my teeth.
Yeah, you find out a lot of things like that, because one woman, she messaged me after the support group and she said, oh my God, other people can't brush their teeth. And I was like, yes,
Yeah, I mean, other
there is
people
a
don't
whole
shower.
community of us. Yeah.
We've
It's,
digressed from people pleasing.
oh, I'm so sorry. Right, and get back to my questions. Okay, the questions won't make sense now because we've discussed everything, but I'm going to go for it. Do you think many neurodivergent people become experts at reading other people's emotions while completely ignoring their own?
Oh my gosh, that question is so relatable for me, because yes is the answer. Absolutely, we do. I am so tuned in to the tiniest, littlest changes in someone's, like I said, body language, facial expression, tone, and whether they seem quieter than usual. Like,
Yeah.
just I can almost sense the energy in a room and the vibe in the room or that person just by looking at them.
Do you know that
And
a lot of us are thought at times we were magic, or because of our pattern recognition,
we're
because of that?
empaths,
Yeah, exactly that.
but we scan, and we are very hyper vigilant. So we are constantly scanning our environment, constantly scanning for, I don't know if threats is the right word, but
Yeah, it is.
expectations, and what people are
Because it's
thinking
our
and how we're
nervous
supposed to
system.
behave. Yes, yeah, that we were so tuned into it. And because of that, I think we don't notice our own needs so much. We don't always notice when we are completely exhausted or overwhelmed, or
We ride through it. We press the like override button.
yes, or we know that or the other side of it is we know we're becoming overwhelmed, but we almost cannot, almost can't stop, because we almost feel like we should be able to do something, or we're expected to do something.
Yeah.
So we
Like when
push
you
through
ring
it.
me and you're like, get off the loop. You're stuck in a loop, Ellie. Get up the loop. Stand up.
Yeah.
Shake
Get
yourself
up, stop
off.
checking your social media, Ellie. Get up, get up.
It's really good. It's like a body doubling thing. But we're doing nervous systems. I think are we doing nervous systems next month? So we'll return to that because that's a really important one
Oh,
when it comes to
yeah,
stuff like
nervous system
this.
regulation. I think that's going to be a big topic for in our hub next month. Um, some resources around, relaxation and how we regulate. So that would be really good. If anybody wants to join, I would join for that topic.
Have
Um,
have you, I've said I've become Nigerian and Mauritian at some point because of people pleasing. Have you ever realized that you'd completely lost yourself because you're so busy making everybody else comfortable that you become something that you're not, even in relationships and stuff? Has that happened to you or with friends?
I've never really had it in relationships. Interestingly, I think like
That's good. Good for
I've not
you.
had the experience of, well, maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
not to the point that I can say, like, I know your experiences have been slightly different to mine in terms of the relationships, but
Yeah.
I think that for me, this particular question came up when I had a child, and I think I lost myself when I became a mum, because I put my child, which you should do. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I put my child in front of absolutely everything else,
Hmm.
that I didn't acknowledge my own needs at all. And I think, yes, put your child first, but equally, you need to stay regulated to be a good
Or
parent. And
put on your own gas mask.
yeah, exactly that. And I would push myself. I would automatically agree to play dates, going out to all school events, social events, anything that I thought, oh, no,
Would
they need to go out
benefit
and play,
her.
they need to go out and do this. And felt completely burnt out, and not able to do anything for myself. This was before I knew I was neurodivergent, though. But
Mm.
I think that particularly for me stands out in terms of people. It's a different kind of people pleasing. It's more of an expectation on myself around how I am as a parent. So I don't know if that answers the question completely, but that's kind of
No,
what it
that's
made me think of.
100%. So I've come with an analogy I've learnt lately about a hula hoop. I don't know if I've told you. I think I've told the whole world.
You've told me
So
about 20 times, but
yeah,
mention it one time.
do you mind if I say it again? So just for anyone that hasn't heard this analogy, if you're in Antarctica, so basically there's two hula hoops, right? You're in one hula hoop and I'm in the other hula hoop. You know, the ones that you spin around your body when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
And then you say to me, Ellie, I need help. Get out of your hula hoop and help me. So me, being me, I will always abandon my hula hoop and come and help you. But I've realised lately that actually that's not fair on everyone else around me. So I can sling you something out of, some supplies or food out of my hula hoop and, you can collect it. But I should never, ever abandon my hula hoop. I thought if I didn't abandon my hula hoop, that makes me a really shitty person because nice people abandon their hula hoops and set themselves on fire for other people. But actually, that's not true because all them times that I was setting myself on fire for other people, trying to please them or accommodate them, I've it's affecting my kids, my family, my finances, you know, you have to put on your own gas mask first. So that's what made me think of it. You need to put on your own gas mask first, because if I keep abandoning my own hula hoop for other people, which I've done my whole life, and people pleasing, it's going to have a knock-on effect on every aspect of my life, even my kids that I love so much.
Of course, yeah, because when you become so focused on being supportive or putting yourself into supporting somebody else, you forget that you're also a part of that relationship as well.
Yeah, and I'd thought that would make you a bad person if you don't leave your hula hoop. I'd be like, but I'm a good person. Of course I'm going to leave my hula hoop, but that's not the case.
And actually, people pleasing in the moment can look like you're being kind or that you're a really kind person, which you are,
Yeah.
but inside, over time, it will completely lead to that sense of exhaustion and
It can
burnout
build resentment as well, you
and
know,
resentment. Yeah, because you feel like you're having to
like you've been
squash
taken
your
the
own
piss
needs
out
for that
of.
person.
Yeah. What boundaries have you learnt that's genuinely changed your life, Tash?
Oh, quite a few over the last few years. I think in relation to this, one of the biggest changes I've made is, well, there's two. One, I don't need to be like other people, and that's a really big one. You know, I used to be like looking out the window going, look at that person all wrapped, packed up and ready for the beach with all their camping chairs, all their
And you've
kit.
got
They're going,
sisters, haven't you? So did you sometimes find yourself comparing, you know, I've got sisters as well, and I found that a really hard one because I'd always be comparing myself to my sisters and people around me.
I mean, not necessarily my sisters, although I do sometimes, I used to with my younger sister because she travels a lot and I'm not able to do that because I've got a
Yeah.
lot of sensory difficulties. But just generally people who seem to have it all together
Yeah.
that are all ready, that take their kids out on these camping trips or beaches all day and they've got everything ready and they look,
I can't do it.
you know, and I really struggle to do that for an hour in a busy, hot
Me
environment.
too.
And I think that one of the biggest things is in a boundary in my own head is not spiraling and being like, oh, look at that person's going out. Oh, you know, that's okay. I'm going to shut my curtain and I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, yeah, I get
And
that.
stay in, you know. But and I think another boundary is probably learning that I don't have to respond or jump at something straight away, or when I do analyze something or someone's tone or someone's facial expression, giving myself a pause of a few minutes to go away, process it,
Or
and
even
then come
ask a
back.
friend. Ask
Yeah,
someone. Ask
or
me.
ask for
Yeah.
clarity. That's communication, like especially in relationships. Like if you're quite often if we've got an RSD sort of spiral, we could be quite blunt because we're uncomfortable and we can be like, what's that mean? Are you mad with me? And it can be quite defensive to the other person.
Yeah.
Whereas if you pause and you say, I'm not quite sure what that meant,
Yeah.
then
Practice the way you say it, because I think I spent
yes.
all my childhood and teenage years, my parents thought, God, she's a defensive cow and she's argumentative, because the way I'd ask is very sharp. But now I'm not embarrassed to, and that's probably because I was embarrassed to ask. So I'd be like, what do you mean? You know, something like that. But now I'm not embarrassed to ask, and I just say, do you mind if I ask you what you mean by that? Like in a really unconfrontational way, because I'm a weirdo.
You don't say that on the end though.
I do. Of course, you come on, Tash. You know me. I always say things like that about myself. But, you know, I'm okay with that.
But you're not a weirdo.
But I like it.
Oh, okay, fine. If you like it.
If someone
If you like
listening
it,
to,
keep it.
yeah, if someone listening today suddenly realised they've spent years people pleasing, how would you encourage them to slowly, because, you know, it is a long journey. How can you slowly stop people pleasing and taking that mask off?
I think it's such a big topic and it's individual for everybody and a lot of it is I think probably the first step or the first part of this is awareness,
Mm-hmm.
noticing awareness. And that's the same for so many things. Noticing when we're masking, being aware when we're people pleasing, when it happens, why it happens, what triggers us, you know, so paying attention to the moments when you automatically do say yes or you apologize or you analyze and not stopping yourself doing it, but just being like, well,
Aware.
why is this happening? Why do I feel like this in this situation? And why do I feel like I'm not able to let this person manage their own feelings, or why do I feel like I'm responsible for their feelings? And like I said earlier, a practical step that's really helped me, and it's a really simple one, is a delaying your answer. So like if somebody says something, instead of just saying yes straight away and being agreeable, have a script, a basic script, like, let me have a think about that. I just need to check something. And that gives you
Yeah.
like a pause between the
You could do the same when someone says, if I said to you, Tash, do you want to go to the beach next week? And I text it to you, I would feel pressure to text that person back straight away and give them a yes or no answer because I don't want to take up any of their time and stuff like that. But you could do the same with that, couldn't you? You could take a pause and think about it. You don't have to respond to everyone's needs straight away.
Absolutely. And text messaging is even more so because they're not there to see that you've seen the message. So
Yeah.
it's creating like a bit of headspace between what they're asking and your response, because your natural automatic response will be to say yes and agree. But actually, if you take a bit of a pause between the two, you can go away and think, do I actually want to do this? Am I doing it for me or am I doing it for them? And then you
And normal
respond.
people say no. Normal
They
people
do,
don't go
yeah.
along with everything, so you can say no. I've got some bonus questions, but they're quick fire, okay? So you can just answer yes or no or one or two words, okay? Do you apologize a lot?
Not anymore.
Okay, yeah, me either. But I did spend a lot of
I
time
used
doing it.
to. I used to. Or sometimes I might apologise if I've been a bit blunt. I might be aware. I might say, "Oh, I'm sorry that I was blunt. This is the reason why," and I can put into words now, like, because I was feeling overwhelmed
But
with
you don't
that.
over apologize. These are
But
quick
not.
fire questions. Quick fire them.
Oh, okay, okay. No,
Oh,
not
you're
anymore.
fired. Okay. Do texts sometimes give you anxiety or phone calls?
Phone calls, yes. I think it's to do with the unpredictability more than anything. If something was unpredictable, especially a phone call, especially a podcast that has bonus
Sorry.
questions, then,
Bonus
then
questions usually
yes, I
do,
get
isn't it?
anxious.
And why do compliments ever make you feel uncomfortable?
Oh my God, so much so. I feel so weird when people compliment me.
It
Someone was complimenting me yesterday and I just didn't know where to look, and I had this weird half smile and I was just
wasn't
like,
me.
yeah,
That's why I always tell you how rubbish you are, so I don't have to make you feel like that.
yeah, but that's good because I can take that.
Yeah. Why do we over explain ourselves, or do you find yourself over explaining yourself sometimes?
I over explain a lot, and I think that's probably just from wanting to make sure we're understood, and giving the context for that so people don't can understand and not be upset with us. I tend to start the story right at the beginning. If someone asks me a question, hence these bonus questions don't work for me because they're really short, and I need to explain from the beginning why we might over explain
Right, I'm
ourselves.
not going to do that, but I just thought it's been a really heavy conversation. Let me just do some quick fire questions so that I don't talk, because that's another thing. When I get off podcasts, I get really bad RSD because I'm like, oh shit, I've interrupted too much. So I thought, oh, I'll just give you some questions that you can answer yourself. But now I'm talking and I need to be quiet. Okay, so basically, we are nearly at the end. You will be relieved to know. Was it any better than you thought it would be?
Yes, whenever I get into a podcast, I'm okay. It's just, and some people listening probably relate to this. I find starting something really difficult, like that's
Oh,
unpredictable,
like the executive dysfunction that you might have.
like our last month's theme.
Yeah.
But just starting something I'm anxious about, whether it's going into a phone call or a podcast or
You
a
put it
video or
off,
anything,
and the
and
putting it off
endings as
makes it
well.
worse.
Yeah, and also endings. And I know you're particularly awkward around phone call endings
I
and go,
hate
okay,
it.
bye.
Yeah,
And you hang
because
up.
I think you're going to say, "Oh, I love you," and I'm going to just put the phone down. What if you say, "I can't cope with it"? Like, the endings of conversations make me very anxious, so I just can't. I can't deal with it, so I just slam the phone down. So if I do it to clients as well. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry if you've ever lost any business because of it, but I do it to clients. But I do explain why I'm doing it.
Yeah. Again, it's the having the words and just explaining who you are and not
Yeah,
being
they know
ashamed of
now.
that.
And I think that's why they like, I think people like us because, we just have to be honest. You can be honest, and that's what we're doing. Um, okay, so I'm going to ask you this month. Our topic is RSD, people pleasing. You've made a lovely resource. Can you talk to me about the resource? It's printable, it's fillable. What's it about? And
Yeah,
how
so
will it help?
the main resource that I've made is the monthly one that we give out in the beginning of the month is the workbook, and it's a PDF, like you say, it's downloadable, it's printable, it's fillable. It's a self-paced workbook on RSD to explain what RSD is, helping you map your triggers and giving you some strategies as to what might help. But throughout the month as well, we also do other resources related to the theme. So we'll probably
Weekly
have,
resources. I
yeah,
think
weekly
there's like
resources.
three resources a week, isn't there?
Yeah, they're audios, whether it's relaxation, whether it's audio insights around RSD or the topic of the
And
month.
they're in the subscribers hub, right?
Yes, scripts around RSD. So it might be some scripts that you can say back when you're feeling those feelings are coming up for you, or text scripts, or people pleasing. We'll probably do a resource on people pleasing. So we do a selection.
As well as the big comprehensive monthly printable fillable book.
For 99p a
Have
month.
we got anything coming up this month? I think we've got three. So every month we have three things, don't we? We have a hypnotherapy. I actually know what the hypnotherapy is about this month. It's about sleep.
Oh, that's going to be a really good one. Yeah,
So
we
we've got
struggle
a
with sleep.
hypnotherapy class next. I think it's in about 3 to 4 weeks. We've got a hypnotherapy
Yeah.
class this month. We've got a webinar.
Yeah, we do our executive functioning webinar on the, oh, is that the first? No, that's the support group. Is it the
I don't
last
have a
Wednesday
clue.
of every month? I think we do the webinar.
And also we have a Zoom, I say support group, but actually it's more supportive for me than I think that anyone that comes. And we've got a monthly support group on Zoom that is all optional, all cameras on, cameras off, whatever you want to do. You don't have to come to any of them. But if you're part of the membership, we will always send you the links and, say, come on, you're welcome to join us.
Absolutely. It's a lovely group and it's very supportive and quite validating.
And we're just getting our website up and running, aren't we? Our AuDHD and Then Some
Oh, yes, we
website.
are. So check out our website. It's
Oh no, maybe not check it
audhdandthensome.com.
out today. She's got 3 more days left to make it. So
Not today. Well, yes, because this will probably be uploaded today, but it's
yeah,
half made. So,
yeah,
but soon we're going to have courses and webinars and all sorts of things on there for ADHD adults. So keep an eye out.
yes, amazing. That's www.audhdanddthensome.com.
.com.
Thank you so much for Tasha joining us today. I know that you absolutely freaking hated every second of it. And now the audience are getting RSD because of you, Tash. No, I'm joking.
Oh
We
gosh.
really hope today's
Send me nice
conversation.
comments, anybody.
Yeah,
Send me nice
please,
comments.
please. Yeah, do you know what? It would really help if you've enjoyed this podcast or found it helpful. Please leave Tasha a comment underneath because
Boost my confidence.
it will boost her confidence. Although she might think that you're lying, she'll be like, "Are they lying?" We
Yeah.
really hope today's conversation has helped you realise that you're not too sensitive and you're definitely not alone. Because for many neurodivergent people, people pleasing isn't a personality trait; it's a survival strategy that developed after years of feeling misunderstood, criticised, or rejected. The good news is that it doesn't have to stay that way, and we can work on it by learning to set boundaries and learning to set boundaries doesn't make you selfish. Putting yourself first sometimes doesn't make you a bad person, and your worth has never depended upon how much of yourself you give away to keep other people happy. If you'd like to explore this topic in more depth, this month's workbook is inside the Ellie or DHD subscribers hub. It's all about RSD and people pleasing with reflective exercises, gentle tools, and lots of information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, we'd be so grateful if you follow the podcast, left a review, or shared this episode with someone who might need to hear it. They don't need to be neurodivergent, they might just need to understand. You can find all my links, including the podcast, the communities, the support groups, in my link tree. Until next time, remember that you were never too much. You've always been enough. Take care, and we'll see you next time on AuDHD and Then Some, if Tasha ever comes back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you, Tash. Bye.
Bye.